Jai Om Vishnupad, Jagat Guru Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Kuluchuramani Sava Shastra Siddhanta Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Nitya Leela Pravistam Vishnupad Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Rupa Nugagura Bhagya ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem Sagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vas Adi Sri Gaura Bhakta Brinda ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda ki Jai. Samadeta Vaishnava Mandali ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So, welcome everyone to our Sunday afternoon broadcast from the East London branch Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. And as usual, we're going through the books of our Guru Bhaga, currently going through the books of Srila Govinda Maharaj. And at the moment, we're going through Affectionate Guidance, which is from a number of previously published articles in different periodicals and pamphlets and so on, which have been compiled into a book by Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj, so that they will remain with us, won't be lost when those periodicals are gone. Actually, they're out of print a long time. So, anyhow, and also I'd like to make an announcement that you may or may not know, those of you who are tuning in, who know Rajendra Krishna Prabhu, Mr. Rastogi, the father of Bhakti Sima, grandfather of Anjana Kirti. He passed away last week, and we're going to be holding a memorial service for him next Sunday on the request of his family. And anyone that knows him and wants to come and pay their final respects, they can come next Sunday. The cremation already took place. He passed away in India, and the cremation took place there in India. His son Ravi and his granddaughter Anjana were both with him when he passed, so very auspicious. And we will be holding a memorial festival for him next Sunday here at the East London branch, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. Everyone that knows him, and even if you don't know him, you're invited on that day. So where are we? So we're on chapter 2. Chapter 2, in praise of the devotees. Sometimes it is necessary to have an Ishtagosti. An Ishtagosti is when devotees come together and discuss various questions they may have. This is an opportunity to harmonize difficulties between devotees. After 1 or 2 years of my joining here at Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, we would regularly hold an Ishtagosti. Lunch would be finished by 1 p.m. and then the Ishtagosti would last for the hour between 2 and 3 p.m. All the devotees staying in the mott would sit together and attend. Sometimes Srila Guru Maharaj would join the group, and he had a special way to manage us. The general understanding is that a devotee is one who is fully devoted to the Lord. But in Vaishnavism, the real devotee of Krishna is considered to be he who is fully devoted to Sri Guru Vaishnava. Krishna himself said, Ye me bhakta jana partha, ne me bhaktas chaje janaha. Mad bhaktanam cha, ye bhaktas te me bhaktanam atman mataha. Who is devoted to me is not my real devotee, but one who is devoted to my devotee is my real devotee. By means of the Ishtagosti, Srila Guru Maharaj gave much chance for the devotees to praise each other. Sometimes two devotees may clash with one another, each having a different opinion. One would want to go in one direction and the other in another direction. Thus their minds would clash and they may even insult each other. Srila Guru Maharaj would harmonize them by calling them both and asking each to praise the other. Describe the good qualities of this devotee. In this way, Srila Guru Maharaj taught us how to praise Vaishnavas without looking at their faults. And it's worth noting as well that Guru Maharaj, he wouldn't accept any kind of shallow praise, Yeah, he's a really nice devotee. Just his mind and body are out of it, No, not that kind of praise. But in Guru Maharaj's own words, he would say they would have to dive deep into the bright side of that person that they were praising to draw that out. Srila Guru Maharaj used the expression, "You are not a drain inspector." He would explain, you are a searcher of Krishna consciousness. Your position is not that of a drain inspector. An ant searches for a hole to use for his own purpose. Without searching for any holes, see only the good qualities of the Vaishnavas and follow that. In this way, Srila Guru Maharaj organized the classes of Ishtagosti, so the devotees can come together and praise each other. It was also a chance for devotees to ask any questions they may have. Srila Guru Maharaj would encourage the devotees to answer each other's questions. In this way, he managed our minds. We must be tolerant, we must be humble, and we must give honor to other devotees. This also reminds me that when our dear godbrother devotee, Bhakti Premit Siddhanti Maharaj, who was previously Chidananda Prabhu, he was one of Srila Prabhupada's very early disciples. And he came to Srila Govinda Maharaj and took sannyas from Srila Govinda Maharaj and basically just traveled with him wherever he went as much as he could. But finally, he had cancer and he passed away. And he would generally stay in the SoCal ashram in California. And so they had a big festival, to honor him after his passing. And all the devotees that knew him, they spoke something in glorification of him. And all of those talks they were recorded, and they sent those talks to Srila Govinda Maharaj for him to hear. So I just happened to be in Navadvip at that time with Maharaj, and he was listening to those recordings, and he was very happy with the recordings. But finally, in the end, he said, "This is all wonderful, but why did they have to wait for him to die to say these things about him? Should have been giving praise of him when he was living." Of course, all the devotees loved Siddhanti Maharaj and always giving praise to him anyway, but this was Gurudev's, what he noted about that. And it is also because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, that Vaishnava that praises me is my enemy. So because by that praise you become preoccupied with falsehood. So there's a fine line between the two things, right? It has to be real, it has to be deep, and has to be worthwhile. If we read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can understand all the Siddhanta. But in which way can we follow the line of Srila Rupa Goswami and the other Goswamis? This we can easily understand through the books of Srila Guru Maharaj. There are many questions answered there. I have not had a chance to read all the books of Srila Guru Maharaj, but I am very satisfied with their titles. When I hear the name of the book, The Loving Search for the Lost Servant, I can immediately remember Krishna's pastimes as described in Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. In The Loving Search for the Lost Servant, there is a very nice picture of Krishna embracing a lost servant. And this is the theme of its title. Only love can give us all wealth of transcendental happiness, but in the material conception, only its shadow is found, and it is bad. We cannot see everything of the origin in the shadow. In the negative world, all must be negative, and in the positive world, all are positive. In this mundane world, paramour love is not praiseworthy, but the opposite is the case in the transcendental world. The only enjoyer there is Krishna. Everyone is engaged in supplying materials for his enjoyment. Therefore, everybody there is very joyful, auspicious, and transcendental. Krishna engages in a loving search for his own satisfaction. In the positive world, the loving search is in a positive way. Krishna is the enjoyer, but he feels some deficiency in enjoyment because his servant is lost. He has everything, but he wants to give enjoyment to his lost servant. He gave freedom to us, but we misused it and therefore came within the mundane world, and we try to enjoy mundane things. Therefore, we are also searching. We are searching for happiness, but happiness is not found here. So we are unfulfilled. A person here feels, if I have 5 rupees, I'll be happy. Then having 5 rupees, but if I had 10 rupees, I will be more happy. Then 100 rupees is necessary, then I'll be happy. Similarly, we try to collect for ourselves Kanak, Kamini, and Pratishta, wealth, enjoyment, and fame. But always we become dissatisfied. Krishna says, Tetam bhukti swaga lokam vishalam, kine punye marta lokam vishanti. From the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. After enjoying that great, extensive heavenly happiness, the residents of heaven, with the depletion of their piety, then enter again the human plane. Brahma bhuvana loka purna avartinarjuna. This is from the 8th chapter. From the planet of Lord Brahma downwards, the residents of all planets are naturally subjected to repeated birth and death. We are moving in such a way throughout the mundane world, the Brahmanda. But Krishna is searching for us. Where is that soul who misused his freedom? He sees everything, but he does not interfere. The only reason he does not interfere is that he wants that each one will willingly serve him. When someone crosses over illusion and enters the transcendental service world, particularly the super service section, which is under the guidance of Madhura Rasa, Krishna immediately embraces that devotee. Oh, after so long I am seeing you. I know service to me is your life's goal. And now, after so long, you have come back to your home. I have been always wondering when you will come. Such is Krishna's nature. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is related how Sri Gopalji hiddenly stayed on Giriraj Govardhan, and how when Madhavendra Puri came nearby, he supplied him some milk, and then gave a dream to him saying, I am waiting for you, and the time that you will come here. Take me out and arrange my seva. I have to undergo so much austerity here. In the winter I have no clothes. In the summer I have no fan. Every day no one comes to feed me. I am fasting, but every day I am waiting for the day that you will come and take me and give me nourishment. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. This is Ishopanishad, first verse. The Lord is full. He is full of everything, but his deficiency is found in love. It is not actually a deficiency, but it is his pastimes, his lila. He is feeling deficiency. And when his servitors serve him, Krishna happily accepts and gives in return the opportunity of more and more service. But until that point, when the servitor comes to willingly serve him, Krishna waits for that lost servant. Krishna is full of joy, ecstasy, and everything. But it is his pastime that he wants to play. Therefore, there must be both positive and negative. Otherwise, he cannot play. In the positive world is also one kind of negativeness. Otherwise, he cannot play. And that is called separation. Srila Guru Maharaj is living and present here today, but we are unable to see his form. In this way, in a negative way, we feel Srila Guru Maharaj's presence, but it is also positive. In the positive world, everything is positive, but when the play will take place, a type of negativity must come. That negative is not like the negativity of this mundane plane. The negative of the higher plane is always helping the positive. To the degree of its necessity, negativity will come, and that is called separation. Union in separation is the topmost ideal of the transcendental world. For the play of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, separation gives more and more ecstasy. Krishna Mai Krishna Jara Bitare Bahire Janha Janha Netra Pade Tanha Krishna Spure. This is from the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Krishna hides, his form is always before Radharani. She can never be without Krishna. In this way, union in separation is the highest goal of life. When there is union, devotees are no doubt happy, but they need more happiness, and that comes through separation. That is shown in Krishna Leela, where his separation from the gopis lasted 100 years. But this is all inconceivable. Such a position is unimaginable and is also not good to try to imagine it. Sometimes to have direct association may be considered to be bad. One day, Rupa Goswami Prabhu invited Sanatana Goswami to take sweet rice, etc. But when Sanatana Goswami understood that the ingredients had been supplied by Srimati Radharani, he was very unhappy. We want to worship her, and if we can do even a little service for her, we consider that to be the fulfillment of our lives. But seeing the wish of Rupa, she is trying to serve us. The higher souls do not want to see Krishna. Raghunath Das Goswami said, "What shall I do with Krishna? I need to serve you, Radharani. And if you give that chance, it will be the fulfillment of my life. But without your service, I do not want to serve Krishna directly." The Gaudiya Vaishnavas, especially the Rupanuga Sampradaya, do not follow Mirabai because she shows herself to be directly connected with Krishna. Rather, they think we are the servitors of the servitors of the servitors of Radharani. This is our line, and in this way we will get the fulfillment of our transcendental life. When the real Vaishnavas get some sight of Krishna, they think it is illusion, and they are not satisfied with it. Even Mahaprabhu himself expressed, na prema ganda sti darapi me haro, krandami sobhagya bharam prakashitam. He could not tolerate the separation from Krishna. Therefore he cried, but while crying he expressed, nothing I have is sufficient for Krishna. Actually, I have no love for Krishna. Why am I crying for Krishna? Simply as a show to others. But it is not real love, because if it was real love, then I would not be able to live. I would certainly die for him, but I am not dead. When the Vaishnavas see Krishna, they think what they see is illusion. I am too unqualified. It is not possible for me to see him. It must be illusion. I do not want to see him in this way. They want to see Krishna living with Radharani, and that is the real form of Krishna. That is where Krishna is supremely happy, and that is our goal. Leaving aside that ideal, we can see Krishna in his pastimes, in many places, in Dwarka, in Mathura, in Hastinapur, etc. In each place of his pastimes, he is present, but the Gaudiya Vaishnavas have no specific connection there. They even do not go to Dwarka, to Hastinapur, and even they do not go to Mathura. They do not like to see the appearance place of Krishna. The mood of the Rupanuga Sampradaya is that our line is very fine. Srila Guru Maharaj was very heavy and strict on this point. For the service of this mott, we started running pilgrimage tours to different places around India to bring in funds and to attract good people. At first, we started Purushottam Dham, Puri Dham Parikrama. Each advertising pamphlet we made, was composed under the very careful guidance of Srila Guru Maharaj to ensure it followed the line of the Rupanuga Sampradaya. Later we went to Badrik Ashram, but it is the place of Narayana. So what relevance does it hold for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas? Nothing directly, but we wanted to go because pilgrims would automatically want to join such a tour, thereby helping the mott. Therefore I asked Srila Guru Maharaj, please indicate how we can go there and still keep its relevance to our line. Then Srila Guru Maharaj gave the connection that a short distance after Badrik Ashram is the place of Vyasadeva, his cave. If you wish to go there for the service of this mott, you must not break the line of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. You must indicate Vyasadeva's cave in the pamphlet. He instructed me to mention in the pamphlet the connection with Nityananda Prabhu's pilgrimages and the ashram of Vedavyas and Shukadev Goswami as the motive. When I planned a pilgrimage tour to Dwarka, Srila Guru Maharaj said that if we go to Dwarka, we must also go to Kurukshetra, otherwise it will not be able to be harmonized within our Gaudiya Vaishnava line. Srila Guru Maharaj never gave permission to leave the track of the Rupanuga Sampradaya, to go along any other Sampradaya's track. We are running in the Rupanuga Sampradaya, so we are not to leave our track to go to see with any other's vision. The gopis went to Kurukshetra, but we must remember why they went. The place where there is extreme separation from Krishna is Kurukshetra. Krishna, as the head of the Jadavas, was present there with many of his wives. They were all highly decorated. The gopis were very poor, and they thought, Krishna is our Krishna, but they are enjoying with him. We need this Krishna, but not in the way we see him before us now. Srimati Radharani feels Krishna is present in front of us, and he is met with us. I am that same Radharani, And our meeting is not false. It has actually happened, but it is not giving me any actual satisfaction. The Rasa Leela also happened there, but she further mentions, here we are meeting and dancing with Krishna, but I am very unsatisfied and unhappy. How will I be happy? If this Krishna will go to the banks of the Jamuna and play with us as we did before, then I shall be happy. In an extended way, this has been preached by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj also. But after Srila Saraswati Thakur, Srila Guru Maharaj became the helmsman and took firm control of the rudder. All the god brothers of Srila Guru Maharaj came to have his association because of this. Because Srila Guru Maharaj was controlling the whole of the Rupanuga Sampradaya, did they all come to him. He was not only controlling, but he was guiding everyone. Srila Guru Maharaj tried to help everyone. The holder of the rudder, the helmsman, was Srila Guru Maharaj, and he always was keeping the key of the iron safe. Everyone respected him in this way. This was also the idea behind the design of his Samadhi Mandir. He is the treasurer. Therefore, his Samadhi Mandir must give some impression of a treasury. All the big personalities, everyone respected Srila Guru Maharaj for that cause. He is accepted by all as holding the post of the leader of our Sampradaya. If you read the introductory pamphlet of any of the parikrams that we organized to West India, South India, Purushottam Dham, Bajrakashram, etc., you will be able to understand how Srila Guru Maharaj harmonized each tour in accordance with the line of our Sampradaya. We must harmonize everything to stay on the track. We must not leave the track, and Srila Guru Maharaj was careful to guard against that. It is very hard to guide in that line. Gopakumar went onwards from one place to another, but only was he satisfied when he reached Brajadam and the embrace of Krishna. Krishna said, "And I have been waiting for you. For so long I have been waiting for you. Now I am satisfied." Both of them fainted, Krishna and his devotee. That is the heart of Krishna, you can understand. Sometimes Krishna's wives in Dwarka cannot get his association. They sleep with him, talk with him, and serve him. But they sometimes say, "We do not have real Krishna. Whom we are worshipping, that is not real Krishna. We may serve his body, but his mind is absent. In this way, to whom we are rendering service is not full Krishna." Such is their expression. The mood of Krishna is that he is always searching the rare service. He is not eager to accept what comes easily to him. That nature, in a negative way, is also found in the mundane plane. Actually, I do not have time to read the scriptures. If we read the scriptures, we must be misguided through the books. But if we get the association of a good Vaishnava who is a master, then there is no chance to be misguided. Scriptures themselves give the advice of Krishna. Vyasadeva and so many others try to get good Vaishnava association and render them service. That's the advice of Krishna, Vyasadeva and others. If you try to read, you must be misguided. Otherwise, why did Mahaprabhu say, "You go and read Srimad Bhagavatam in front of a Vaishnava who knows its meaning"? The good servitors of Srila Guru Maharaj are the wealth of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. The real wealth is the devotees, and I am trying to serve you all with whatever I have. I want your association, really. I am receiving transcendental food from you. When I see you, I think I have service. But to be alone is not good for anyone, even myself. We are trying always to do service, no doubt. But sometimes we must be worried, and that is painful. But with the devotees, it becomes not painful, but hopeful, and giving happiness. Everyone wants relaxation, and my relaxation is to be with the devotees. Srila Guru Maharaj is very happy with this program of daily English class on his Samadhi Mandir, the temple of union in separation. This Samadhi Mandir is not here just for show, but it is for using in the service of Srila Guru Maharaj. Real service is to glorify the Vaishnavas, headed by Srila Guru Maharaj and his associates. This program of glorification of Srila Guru Maharaj through his associates and devotees must continue here every day. In that way, Srila Guru Maharaj will be even more happy. That's the end of the chapter. What do we think? Any questions?
You said that if you're going to read, you should do it in front of a Vaishnava. Does that mean shouldn't you read it home on your own?
No, it doesn't mean that. It means, I mean, particularly it refers to Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, it should be under a Vaishnava. But it means all of our books, we should read them with reference to the Vaishnava. So if it's very good if we're going through the books and some question comes up, write the question down, and then when you're in the company of whom you consider to be a higher Vaishnava, then you can ask them to explain the meaning of that question. But it doesn't mean if there's no one present with you, then you mustn't read the books. There's a misconception, like, we were at the West London Temple one festival, and one like dignitary from ISKCON was there, and we were taking prasadam together, and some other devotees were leaving, so I had to go and see them off. And when I came back, he'd been talking with one devotee from our mission, and he had a very puzzled look on his face. And he said to me, I was just talking with this Maharaj, and I asked him, what books would you recommend for newcomers? And he told me, Govinda Maharaj said not to read any books. And he was looking at me, and I could see in his eyes, he was saying, please tell me that's not true. Please tell me that's not true. And I said, well, maybe he told him that, but as far as I heard from Srila Govinda Maharaj, he said we should read the books not just once, but again and again and again. It's not just like, oh yeah, I've read that book, I don't need to read it again. Yeah, again and again and again. Because there's always new light. They're actually living those books. And of course, there may come some question from what we read, and that we should refer to the higher Vaishnavas. Before the internet was fully developed, I suppose if it's fully developed now, but previously before there was Facebook and Instagram and all of these things, there used to be what were called chat rooms. And so if you wanted, you could make a chat room and people could enter into that chat room and have some talk. So one of our devotees, he made a chat room, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, questions and answers chat room. And he was showing it to Srila Gurudev, to Srila Govinda Maharaj. And he said, so he was explaining to Gurudev, yeah, people can come in here and maybe one day someone will raise the question, what does it mean, such and such and such and such, when it says in Sridhar Maharaj's books, he says this or says that. And they can have some discussion. And Srila Gurudev said, and who will give the answer to those questions? And they said, everyone can just give their own answer, Everyone can say what they think. And Gurudev said, that cannot be in the name of Chaitanya Saraswat. It must be somebody, some experienced devotee to give the answer, not just anyone's answer, You can have anyone's answer in any chat room, but if it says Chaitanya Saraswat, it must be someone who's recognized as being able to represent Sri Chaitanya Saraswat. So that devotee said, who should that be? And Gurudev said, Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj, he can answer the questions in that room. That devotee didn't particularly like Goswami Maharaj, and he said, he made some remark about him, I don't want him in my chat room or something like that. Anyway, that was a very difficult time for that devotee, because Gurudev then banned him from every one of our temples around the world. Told all the devotees there, especially the ones that he visited with his family, do not give shelter to him if he comes here. And we all asked him, we all went to him and said, just go and apologize to Gurudev, just like what you said. Take it back and apologize. I didn't know what I was saying, Maharaj, please forgive me. Gurudev, very merciful, but he was too proud to do that. And now left our mission. And actually, Srila Gurudev predicted that a long time before, because he was previously a disciple of another a guru from another mission, and he came, and Gurudev gave him a re-initiation, because there was some question about his particular guru's, let's say, standard. And so Gurudev gave him initiation, but he said to me, the very same day that he gave initiation, I was there when he gave him initiation. And after he'd gone, like Gurudev would say, now go and chant 4 rounds in front, like he would often after initiation. Go and chant 4 rounds before the deities, and make your obeisance to all the Vaishnavas. Do that before taking prasadam. And he would go. But we were sitting in the room together, and he said to me, you see how easily he rejected his former guru, and in the future, just as easily he will reject me. He told. And that was some years before that incident, and he was bang on. That happened. It was a very unfortunate thing. Anyhow, yeah. So our study should always be in the association of the Vaishnava as much as that is possible. But it doesn't mean if some good Vaishnava isn't present, living with me, then I shouldn't touch the books or anything. No, read the books, absorb, because the books are contain, especially the books of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev's talks, like these books. Then they're their thoughts, they're their instructions to us, and any question can come in that. Write it down, or put it in your memory, and when you meet again with some good Vaishnava, you can ask them. And nowadays, you don't even have to wait for that, do you? And you can now, with the internet, you can contact anyone wherever they are, all over the world. So I often get emails from people, or not email even, messages from most people. A lot of people don't use email anymore. They use the messaging, some kind of messaging platform, WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever it is. I get lots of them. Oh, Prabhu, do you remember me? I have this question. And, I can give some answer to that. We live in a very small world now. even immediately you can ask somebody that question and maybe you'll get an immediate reply. Who knows? It's almost, but that's almost like one of the problems with the internet and all this, you know. If someone sends you a message and you don't reply immediately, then they're like, oh, did I do something to offend you? Like, you know, I said, like, it was just yesterday and I haven't had a reply from you yet. You know? As if that's, you know, you've got nothing else going on in your life. You're just sitting at home waiting for people to message you, you know. This is like that, something like that. Anyway, so in the answer to your question, no, we should always read the books, but always be, you know, kind of cautious, because it is possible that we can misunderstand what we read, because everything that we read goes through the filter of our consciousness, doesn't it? So, you know, then it's always colored by our own conception of things. So then, you know, we have to consider that, and that also may not be our that we've, you know, understood it in the proper way. Where the example is Lord Brahma was teaching his students. One was Indra and one was Virochana. And Indra, he's a devata, devotee of the Lord. And Virochana is a demon. And Indra asked Lord Brahma, who am I? Who am I? Very, you know, like basic question in spiritual life. And Lord Brahma said, you are Atma. And Indra, happily, he understood, oh, that means I'm the soul. But Virochana, because he was a demon, he understood that to mean, oh, you're the body. Because Atma can also mean body in a particular context. But because it was going through his own filter, he accepted it in that way. This is the problem. So, you know, we have to be a little bit introspective and cautious how much we can understand and how much we can rely on our understanding. And if you have some question, it means question means doubt. Actually, you know, if you have some question, it means you have some doubt, and our doubts should be cleared up, so that we, you know, no longer have those doubts. And but that isn't a failing, you know, on our part. It's just being honest. We can be honest, you know, that, well, I cannot understand that, you know. I find it difficult to understand that. I remember, you'll remember, Darkesh Prabhu, when we lived in Chaitanya College, and Shivaram Swami used to read Mahabharata during the Prasadam time, do you remember? And and I remember, you know, our godbrother Vaini Madhava, he said, Shivaram Swami was saying that, you know, in the time of Krishna, 5,000 years ago, Dwapara Yuga, that the warriors, the Kshatriyas, they were on average 18 feet tall. And Krishna himself was 12 feet tall, and he was considered small, you know, because actually he was, Vaishya, coming from the Vaishya community. So he was 12 feet tall. And I remember Vaini Madhava saying, I just can't accept that, you know. I can't accept that there were people wandering around, 18 feet tall people, you know. Hare Krishna. But I remember then in Bombay, or what's it called now, Mumbai, they have a museum there, and they have like weaponry from that purportedly from the Kurukshetra war. And there they've got like broadswords, and the blade of the sword is like 6 feet long. And somebody was wielding that around, you know, you or I couldn't. The blade was as tall or taller than you and I are, you know, so it's not difficult to understand that. And not just only that, when I went with my mother, we went to a castle near where she lives, or where I was brought up in Herefordshire. And in that castle, they also had weapons, you know, from ancient times. And there they had like swords and things. No one today could, and shields and things. Everyone would be dwarfed by that, even here. Like, so that could only be like a couple of 100 years ago or something. So, if we have some doubt, we need to express that, understand that. Many things.
But also the book, in a way, is associated with a Guru Parampara.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Thought.
The only thing we can say, what that Srila Guru Maharaj says, is that the book is passive, whereas the Vaishnava is dynamic. So if you read the book and you misunderstand what it says, the book won't correct you. But the Vaishnava can correct you. Or, if you fall asleep while you're reading the book won't wake you up. In the class, the Vaishnava may say, "Oh, Prabhu, why don't you stand up? You're snoring." Happens sometimes. So we can read the next chapter. The next chapter, it's a short chapter actually, is called Secure at Home. Someone asked the question, in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it says that the jiva soul, when in the spiritual world, is perfect, but when in the material world, is fallible. Therefore, my question is, how can the infallible spirit soul change his perfect nature, thereby falling, into this material world? Srila Govinda Maharaj's reply. There is the spiritual world and the material world, but in between them is the middle section, the Abshisha. Jiva Shakti is the middle potency of the Lord. There is Maya Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Swarup Shakti. Maya Shakti is the garden of the material world, and Swarup Shakti is the garden of the spiritual world. But the Jiva souls are being produced from the middle portion, Jiva Shakti. Originally, the Jiva souls are coming from the middle potency, and by nature, they are generally looking towards the light and are going there to the spiritual world. But a few of the Jiva souls are unfortunately looking towards the mundane world. They are attracted by that, and that is who we are. And that percentage is very, very small. By far, the greater percentage are going towards the spiritual world. Those who are looking towards Maya are feeling, oh, we are the soul, we are light, but there is darkness, and we are masters of that dark world. It is their misfortune. They are attracted and are coming towards Maya. The Jiva souls are produced from the middle section and are very, very tiny, and therefore some are attracted by Maya, although most are attracted by the light, the spiritual realm, and are going there. Although there are only relatively few who are coming here, still that means crores and crores, but that is few compared with the whole spiritual universe. The fallen Jiva souls are coming here from the middle portion, but there are others who are coming from the light section, but they are not fallen. Amongst them are Sadhu, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavan, and many avatars. They are coming here in order to take the Jiva souls towards the world of light. Whoever comes to the light world, the spiritual world, does not come back to this plane as a fallen soul, but sometimes may come down by the will of Krishna in order to rescue the fallen Jiva souls. Whoever is serving in the transcendental world does not come back here. Only by the will of Krishna someone may come here, but that is not falling down. We can also see in the case of Jai and Vijay, they were Vaikuntha gatekeepers, and they came down here, but that was the will of Krishna, and they went back also. Anyone who is living in the spiritual world, who goes there, does not come back here. Yad gatva na nivartante. Whoever is living there is always living there, and they will only come back from that world in order to rescue the jiva souls from this plane and take them to the spiritual world. But those who are living in this world are the fallen souls. But there is no possibility for those who are living in the transcendental world to come back here as fallen souls. Only they may return here by the will of Krishna. Everything there is the will of Krishna. It may be offense or anything, but it is all happening by his will. One who is living here can go there, and once going there, he will not return. Not only the perfect jiva soul may come here by the Lord's wish, but also the transcendental plane can come here and play here. Krishna and his whole paraphernalia came down to this mundane world, and they play here, but their play is the play of the transcendental plane. Transcendental means infinite. The transcendental plane is always infinite. Krishna can go anywhere and do anything, so he can come down to this plane. Also, he can expand any place and can contract any place. Everything is possible, and that is the meaning of transcendental. Anyone living in this mundane plane who does not have a permanent residential permit for the spiritual world may fall down, even though he may have attraction to that plane. Up to and including the stage of Mahabhagavat, there is always the possibility of going down again in this mundane world. A Mahabhagavat can also fall down, but not from the transcendental world. When the transcendental world comes here and appears to be attracted to this world, it is not attachment really. It may appear to be attachment, but there is no possibility for the transcendental to be mixed with the mundane. Mayadya kena prakriti suyate sa characharam. From Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter. Maya, the mundane plane, is always like a shadow, but the Abshisha is everywhere. Otherwise there cannot be both light and shadow. In the middle there is always an Abshisha, Tatashta Shakti, and that is where the jiva souls are coming from by the will of Krishna. Krishna is looking at the jiva Shakti. Tatlingam Bhagavan Shambhur. He is throwing his vision of jiva Shakti, and there the jiva Shakti are immediately active. Although ultimately it is the ray of Krishna, but actually it is the ray of Narayan. Really, Krishna is not interested in doing that. Rather, he is playing with his paraphernalia and is not interested about the mundane plane. What he is producing is transcendental. It has no connection with Maya, but Narayan, Vishnu, is always in the middle portion. The upper level of the spiritual world is Krishna Loka, the lower level is Brahma Loka, and the middle portion is the area of Vishnu, Narayan, and many avatars. In that section there are Karunadakai Vishnu, Garbhodakai Vishnu, Kiradakai Vishnu, Purusha avatars, Leela avatars, Juga avatars, and many more. Each of their worlds is transcendental and infinite. Where Nrsimha is staying is also the transcendental world and is infinite, but with our puppy brains we cannot imagine. It is called Achintya Shakti. It is beyond Prakriti, which means beyond our thinking. At the same time, Krishna can take his food through his mouth, through his hands, and through his feet. It is so. In the mundane world, we cannot think that is possible. But it is true in the transcendental world. The transcendental world is infinite. Where Krishna is staying, that is the transcendental world, and infinite. Similarly, it is so with Ramchandra and other incarnations of Krishna. Everywhere it is transcendental, but we are unable to think of such things. That is called achintya. All the worlds are infinite, but we cannot accommodate that within our puppy brains. It is not possible. But a devotee can clearly understand all these things because he has strong faith. When Krishna says this is a rope, then certainly this is a rope. But if Krishna says this is a snake, then, oh yes, it is a snake. At present we do not have the transcendental type of knowledge, but when illusion will leave us, then we shall be able to see everything in the proper way by Krishna's grace. With our thought, we may be able to go to the opposite side of the world and think what is happening there. But the transcendental plane is above and beyond the mind. Sometimes if we see the transcendental plane, we may find that we are too close to see clearly, but can focus better from far away. If I hold the newspaper too close, then my eyes cannot focus on the print, but from a proper distance I can read it clearly. So proper adjustment is necessary with everything. We may want to see what pastimes are going on in Vrindavan at this moment, but we cannot. The morning, the evening, and all things that are going on transcendentally. First we must go there, get entrance there, and then we shall be able to see everything. By chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra without offense, we shall be able to see everything as clear as daylight. Otherwise we cannot understand the infinite nature of the transcendental world. If you can think that you can make a garland out of all the peaks of the Himalayas and the peaks of all the mountains of the world and offer that to Krishna, and if you think you can make a rope out of a spider's web and bind an elephant with that, then you may be able to understand something of that plane. So it is not necessary to think too much, but instead our main attention is to try to chant Hare Krishna properly. This is our main channel to go there, and this is our one hope. All right. What about that, Udaran Prabhu? What do you say?
So maybe I have the question that our path we cannot attain fully Krishna consciousness in that spiritual world by one lifetime, and at the same time I see that Kali Yuga is progressing, and we don't want to stay here for a longer period, and also we can see that great generation of great Vaishnavas, they already passed away. That came from that world, starting from Bhakti Thakur and until Srila Gurudev. So what hope do we have actually if we are we will not attain our goal at this life, but at next life? So yeah, so not great Vaishnavas, not with us. Maybe they will come later, who knows? But what hope do we have?
This is Arjuna's question to Krishna in the Gita. The one who practices the science of yoga but fails in their practice, what is their fate? Are they not like, he uses this expression, not like a riven cloud with no place anywhere, already left the material world, the conception of the material world, but not fully established in the conception of the spiritual world? then are they just like a riven cloud with no place anywhere? And Krishna says no. Even if, first of all, he says one who does good can never be overcome by evil, and even a small advancement on this path can save one from the greatest danger. And Guru Maharaj, in the verse it says Mahabhayam. Mahabhayam means the great danger. And Guru Maharaj, in his commentary on that verse, he says Mahabhayam means fear of death, the fear of death. So, but Krishna explains that if one isn't successful in this life, in his next life, he'll be born in a position that he can take up the path again from where he left off. So he says either in the family of aristocratic, rich family, or in the family of yogis, practitioners of Krishna consciousness, like that. So, but he will, in any case, will be given the opportunity to continue where he left off in the previous life. But that doesn't necessarily mean that here even, there are many, unlimited planets in the universe, and there, all the planets have some connection with Krishna consciousness. They're not little green men, in spaceships, but there are many planets. This is,
many universes as well.
Yeah, practically, this universe is practically infinite. From our perspective, it's practically infinite. And we think, right, the modern scientists, they say that, all the stars that you see in the sky, they're actually suns from other universes, right? And around all of those suns, there are other planets orbiting them and so on. So from our perspective, practically, just this universe is practically infinite. So where we will go doesn't mean, we'll be born again in this world, but in some place where we'll get the opportunity to practice devotional service again in the family of devotees. Maybe here, maybe somewhere else. And in fact, Sanatana Goswami, says that even if you've told the name of Krishna as a joke, like sometimes if we're doing the Sankirtan and people go, hey, Hare Krishna, and, like just joking, get a job, then even he says, at the time of their death, then the Lord's Parshada devotees, that means that the Lord's eternal associates will come before that person to raise them to a higher place. So there's infinite hope and infinite possibility. Srila Govinda Maharaj would say, I never become hopeless, I'm always hopeful. So, but it's true. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, he did say, you can attain perfection in Krishna consciousness in one life. He said that, but when somebody asked Guru Maharaj about that, he said, yeah, it is possible, but not very likely, that everything, you'll be able to make yourself perfect in one life. That's very unlikely. And if you do, it's probably not just one life. It's probably the culmination of many lives of practice of Krishna consciousness, when, this is the last one of many, you can say so. But what we do not know, like where on that scale we might be, But we have faith that the Lord didn't create us just to suffer eternally in this material world. That would be rather mean, wouldn't it? That would make him rather mean if he just made us here so that we can just suffer perpetually in the material world. Actually, that's why, Guru Maharaj was saying, Srila Govinda Maharaj saying in that previous chapter, when I hear this title, The Lord's Loving Search for His Lost Servant, and I think about Gopal Kumar and Brihad Bhagavatam. Have you read Brihad Bhagavatamrita?
Yes, once.
Yeah, so there we see that Gopal Kumar, he was actually a cowherd boy in this world, a simple boy tending the cows in India, and his guru gave him this mantra, Gopal mantra, and he would meditate on that mantra, and that took him on a journey through all the different spiritual realms, material and spiritual realms, going through there. It's quite fantastic actually when you read it. How he comes to Shiva Loka, meets Lord Shiva, and from there, going on to Vaikuntha, and from Vaikuntha to Dwarka, and from Dwarka from Vaikuntha to Ayodhya, Ayodhya to Dwarka, Dwarka to Mathura, and finally to Vrindavan. So then of course it's an exceptional thing, but it gives us it's like a roadmap, spiritual roadmap, and we may also have some similar experience. Now we're here in this mundane world, but what will be our destination after death, we do not know. We do not know what that is. But if we, Krishna says in the Gita, he assures us, whatever state of mind you have at the time of your death, that you will definitely attain in your next life. So some people say, that means you have to be thinking of Krishna at the time of your death, and that's true, but it doesn't mean that just then, because you could just say I'll just do nonsense my whole life, and then when I'm dying, I'll think about Krishna. Right? It doesn't work quite like that. Or you might think was it Jamunacharya? Or was it Jamunacharya or Maharaj Kulashekar? One of them anyway, they're saying, when I'm dying, I may not be able to think of anything, I'll be my mind's going to be all over the place, right? So I definitely probably won't be able to think about you, Krishna. So better if you just take me now when I am thinking about you, And so, then, but mostly the Vaishnava Acharyas, they have, they've given their commentary that what you have aspired for mainly in your life, that will be what you remember at the time of your death. So if you spent your life trying to serve Lord Krishna, trying to chant Lord Krishna's holy name, then even if you, at the moment of your death, cannot remember him, he will certainly remember you and take you upwards. And I also believe, more so I believe this in the last few years, that actually Krishna is more merciful than we can ever imagine, more kind than we can ever imagine. And whatever the reality may be, whatever the case may be, it's very auspicious. Srila Govinda Maharaj used to say, many times I heard him say it actually here, he'd say, another birth is for sure, but another chance to eat Ram Sundar Prabhu's ice cream, that we cannot guarantee. So, I think about that a lot, especially as I get older. And I'm not at all fearful of dying. I'm more afraid of being born again and having to go through everything that we went, growing up, going to school, getting, all of that, going through all of that again, and then again, that scares me much more than dying does.
And even we cannot guarantee. Okay, so Krishna give us a guarantee that we will start the next life, but in better conditions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just thinking about my life, this life. So I just came to Krishna consciousness when I was 33, 34. So, and just 30 years more, just absolutely, I don't know how it's possible actually to live without any faith. It's I'm afraid that I will be next life, I will be born and will just forget about Krishna. So just hope for the Krishna that he is saying in Bhagavad Gita that next life you will start at this point.
That's so there. And also, previous to that, he also says, janma karma jame divyam. If you understand that my janma, my birth, and my karma, my activities, that they're not like your birth and your activities, but jame divyam, that means that they're transcendental. My birth is transcendental, my activities are transcendental. If you just believe that, if you have faith in that, Krishna says, if you believe that, have faith in that, you never have to return to this material world again. So, what can we say? Do we have faith in that? If not, we should try and cultivate faith in that. This is a very wonderful thing. And that I'm sure of, is that we're not just here to perpetually suffer on the wheel of samsara. Once one's begun the path of devotion, that must continue till you become perfect. And even if you don't become perfect, the Lord can make you perfect. He can make you perfect in a moment if you desire that, if you really desire that. That's the problem, isn't it? When I was growing up, we used to go to church on Sunday, and the priest there, his name was Reverend Bolsh, and his favorite joke was, "Oh Lord, make me a saint, but not today." So that was his idea, right? We want to be saints, but also not today, because I've got some other things that I want to do in the meantime, This is our misfortune. And this has been described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur for the four anarthas in the life of the practicing devotee. Or not just the practicing devotee, but everyone in this material world, but especially relevant to the practicing devotee. The first one is misidentification of the self, thinking that this body and everything related to it is who you are. And, this is my family, this is my country, this is my job, this is my everything, then that's the first Maya, the thing of Maya, because none of that is actually true. But we still, even if we understand that philosophically, I'm not the body, everything related to it is not really anything to do with me. Even then, when you look in the mirror, you think it's you looking back, right? You think that, oh, that's me there. Oh, I need a shave, or, not looking so good. Oh, I look pretty handsome today, or whatever it is, So it's one thing to understand the theory, but to actually know the truth is another thing. So that's the first thing, misidentification with the self. And so it isn't something that just disappears by philosophy. If somebody slaps you in the face, it still hurts, even if you understand that's not me that he's slapping, right? I'm something else. Pain is still there, still hurts, right? So that's the first thing, that misidentification of the self. And the second thing is the desire to enjoy the things of this world, whatever that may be. We want to enjoy everything in this material. We want to enjoy our family. We want to enjoy, some celebration. We want to enjoy having a nice car, having a nice house, having whatever it is. That desire is there, right? Desire to enjoy the things of this world. And then the third anartha is aparad. So, that means specifically namaparad, offenses to the holy name, then seva aparad, dharma, there's so many. so much potential for making offense to Krishna and his paraphernalia. And that is called tadiya. Tadiya means what is related with Krishna, his devotees, his everything. And then the fourth anartha, which I think is the real killer, is that Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls it weakness of heart. So, and he explains that that means that we know what we need to do to, to perfect ourselves, to be successful in our devotional life in Krishna consciousness. We know what needs to be done, but we can't be bothered. That's weakness of heart. Yeah, I know, but you really can't be bothered, And what that means generally is that we become satisfied with some position of comfort and convenience. If we have comfort and convenience, then can't be bothered with anything else, pushing any way forward from that. But nevertheless, nothing that we do in Krishna consciousness goes in vain. Everything that we do is goes into our spiritual bank account, if you like, and that stays with us after death. Everything that you've accumulated in the material world up until then, you have to leave all of that, isn't it? No one can take anything with them when they go. But that spiritual merit that you have, that will go with you, and that will carry you to your next life, and that will ensure that that you continue on the path that you already began. And like you say, okay, maybe for 30 years you didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness, but in the wake of eternity, 30 years is nothing, is there? There's nothing at all. So you can be sure that Krishna's word is true, and Krishna says that also in the 18th chapter. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuro mami vaishasi satyam te pratijani priyoshime. He says to Arjuna, Manmana bhava means give your heart and your mind to me, become my devotee, bow down to me, do everything you do as an offering to me, and surely you'll come to me. And he says, if you can't believe anything in this world, you can believe me, Arjuna. And I say that to you because you are priyoshime. Priyoshime means you're dear to me. You're dear to me. So someone may say, yeah, well, that's Arjuna, isn't it? Arjuna is Krishna Bandhu, Krishna's best friend, right? But in the context of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is our proxy. Arjuna is our proxy. He represents us. So what Krishna is telling to Arjuna is actually telling us through Arjuna. The Bhagavad Gita is not just the instruction for Arjuna, it's an instruction for everybody. So he's telling, you are all priyoshime. And of course that must be, because we're part of him. We are created as part of him, part and parcel of him. Then what makes him happy is when the fallen jiva soul comes back, or comes to the spiritual reality, enters into that spiritual reality. Now that's actually Mahaprabhu's purpose. So we see this, right, that we've all come to the material world as the result of the misuse of our independence, our free will, and so on. We've come here to try and make some arrangement for our own happiness without Krishna. But that's from our perspective. But from his perspective, he comes as Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Day, Patita Pavan, the savior of the fallen. And he enjoys that as one of his leelas, that is called Odarja Leela, distribution of Madhura Leela to the fallen soul, and rescuing the fallen souls. That's his Leela. So there has to be a place full of fallen souls that he can come to rescue. That's why the material world exists, actually, just for that, so that Mahaprabhu can come and rescue the fallen souls, and that's us. So, then we should be pretty happy for that. So that's all we need to do, actually, is because that means that everyone in this material world will ultimately become liberated by the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Then all we need to do is try somehow to come to the front of the queue for that. That's all. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that, right? Srila Govinda Maharaj said that. His prayer to Krishna, I'm never going to worship you or serve you. You know that, because I'm fallen. But that's my job. I am a fallen soul. I've done my job, and you are the Patita Pavan, you're the rescuer of the fallen soul, so now you have to do your job, and that means rescuing me. So that's our prayer, that's our hope, that's our fortune. That in American the American Marine Corps, they have an expression. They say, "No man left behind." So this is like Mahaprabhu's slogan also. No one will be left behind. It's not like the whole universe will be liberated and then just Udaran Prabhu said, "What about me?" No, you too. Come forward and take your salvation. Mahaprabhu has advented himself in the land of Navadvip just to rescue fallen souls like you and I. And just come forward and accept that from him, that gift. So it's all, we shouldn't be hopeless or cowed down. The material world is very powerful. Maya is very powerful. But Krishna is master of Maya. Then that also he says, Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya darachaya in Gita, that no one can cross over this Maya because Daivi esha. Daivi means spiritual. She's part of my spiritual energy. Daivi. No one can cross over her. But those who surrender to me, easily they can cross over Maya. So that's all we have to do. And easy to say, of course. But we just have to try and surrender to the Lord and let him take our charge. Nothing we can do by our own strength or our own energy. But he can do, easy. If we surrender to him, Lord, I am yours. Guru Maharaj quotes this in Prapanna Jivanamritam from this is from Ramayana, when Vibhishana came to surrender to Ramchandra. All of Ram's associates, including Lakshman, Hanuman, and all, they said, no, don't accept. That's Ravan's brother. You know he must be a spy. He's from the enemy camp. Don't accept him. And Ramchandra said, no. Whoever sincerely says, even once, my Lord, I am yours, then I give him my protection for all time to come. So that's all is necessary. From your heart, if you say to the Lord, I am yours, that's all that's needed. Then he'll take care of everything. And that's our great fortune. Hare Krishna.
Then what Srila Maharaj said regarding Udaran's question about what happens to us and things like that.
Yeah.
Because he said we shouldn't really worry too much about the result when the process is nice. So
Yeah.
just concentrate on the process. The result will come when it comes, you know.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, Guru Maharaj would say, virtue is its own reward. That you're trying, that's enough. You're trying as best as you can. That may be not very significant from one point of view. Again, when Ram was building the bridge to Lanka, right? They were taking stones and they just wrote Sri Ram on there, throw it in the ocean and it floated. So then the Hanuman's coming, he's bringing like mountains, throwing them in the ocean to make the bridge. But one small animal, sometimes it says a squirrel, sometimes a spider, but whatever it was, is just like pushing some dust in there. And when Hanuman's got a mountain in his hand, but he won't cross over that creature, but impatiently he's saying, get out the way, you know, like, I've got a mountain here, what's your dust compared to that? And Ram chastised him. No, he may not be able to bring a mountain, but what he's doing is no less valuable than what you're doing, according to his ability. I remember, you know, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, she said, we may not be able to do many great things in our life, but we can do many small things with great love. So that's possible for us. We can try to do that. And what will be, will be. But once you give your heart to the Lord, He'll take care of everything. You only need to do that once. And even if tomorrow you think, what did I do? But if it was sincere, that's enough.
those of the devotees who pray to the Lord saying, you can send me to heaven or to hell, doesn't matter as long as I have the opportunity to serve. So
Yeah.
whether we serve here or there, spiritual world, material world, doesn't really matter.
Yes, true. What do you think? Feel better now?
Yes. No, I'm not afraid of death, or not afraid to be anywhere.
Yeah.
But the only thing what I'm afraid that to be like forget about Krishna, about the Lord, and
Yeah.
about this time. It's really what scares me.
That is the nature of a devotee, that Hare Krishna. That Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says in many of his songs, maybe I'll be born as a bird or a beast, but if I'm in the home of your devotee, that's all right. If I have to have another birth, even as a bird or a beast or anything, if that be in the home of your devotee, then I'm okay. Okay with that. It is all good. All right, we can stop here for today. Jai Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Sundar, Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Sham Sundar Giridhari Ju ki jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Yatai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.